Good afternoon. The JoeJoe Show, number 35. 35 for those who don't habla. Coming at you with the hottest topics north of the tropics. Wow, it's been a while, 2 weeks maybe. There's a lot going on. Correct, little Joe? How you been?
Yeah, it's good. Look, first and foremost, I've been busy. Joe's been busy. We've been busy. We got, a lot of things going on. I get paid to go to my real job, which I work 7 days in a row.
Correct.
I don't get paid to do this. Now, maybe one day I could flip that script, but as of right now, I can't do that. Okay, so I have to when my job calls, I gotta go. And I was a little under the weather last weekend. Not this past weekend, but one of the weekends ago. Hell, it's been so long, and it's like. It's a hit or miss type of things. If Joe's schedule's not jiving with mine or my schedule's not jiving with Joe's, we can't do this. But for the most part, it's good to be back, and it's good to see.
It's
good for everybody to be watching us right now.
The listening and following crew there.
Yes, wherever our two listeners, thank you very much.
That's it. We don't get paid to do this, but we sure rather do this than anything else. And like you said, we were a little busy, but we didn't forget about you, and we kept trying to get together. So let's move on. The global thing, to me, and we're going to rat-a-tat-tat, little Joe. I'm going to throw some things out to you because the big white elephant in the room is football again, college football, that is, and we like to spend and develop some time to that. Again, like we always do, we'll throw some odds and maybe preview a few big games this weekend coming up. But, the season is 5 or 6 games in, and the top 5 can't be cracked yet. But globally, the Syria thing, I really don't understand it. I know that we've had troops over there. I know that now that Trump decided to pull troops out of Syria, he's not doing the right thing. All the other presidents did the same thing, pulled out of where people were needed to protect the other countries, this and that. But the Syria thing, to me, the Syrians genocide their own people. So can you enlighten us from step 1 to step B, maybe to A to Z, little Joe, on what do you think about it and who's who? Just don't throw the Kurds out there and the Turks and the Syrians. Give us a little lowdown, and I'll try to keep you on the time limit.
Yeah, and I'm just going to crash course it for anybody. I personally don't think they're walking away from the Kurds. I personally do. Yeah.
Who are the Kurds?
Yeah, the Kurds. See, the Kurds are, if I'm not mistaken, now somebody out there maybe could correct me, they're Christians that are in that region of Iran, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan and Iraq and Syria. And if you look at it on the map, if you visualize now, you could go and to a search engine and do map of Kurdistan, and they actually have like a whole map drawn of Kurdistan, and these are Christians that live in this region that basically could have their own country right there, and what they can do as far as like if you're the American government or the British government or whatever, they can destabilize all these countries. They could destabilize Iran. They could destabilize Iraq. They could destabilize Turkey. They could destabilize Syria. Not to mention, they sit right there in one of their strongholds, which is the northern Iraq, Kirkuk area. They sit on one of the largest oil reserves deposits on the world. Not to mention, they're right there by the Caspian region, which is Azerbaijan, and the Caspian region is a very sought-after region for all the 3 major powers in the on the globe, which is the United States, Russia, and China. Okay, now, if you look at the map, you'll see Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and, Azerbaijan is on the east side, but if you look west side, but if you look towards the east of the Caspian Sea, you'll see, of course, like I say, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, those are rich in natural gas. China and Russia are already have pipelines coming out of there going straight to Russia and China, not going to Europe, not going down south, into the Arab nations. So it's a very sought-after region because of the oil. And like I said, at the end of the day, I don't think, officially, we might be being tough on the Kurds and walking away from them, but I don't think for 2 seconds that we're abandoning the Kurds over there. But, listen,
Trump plays hardball.
Yeah,
I mean, Trump is not going to get forced into a fight he don't want to get into. That goes without saying.
Trump, to me, is slowly but surely showing that he's not one of the elitist bad guys that are for all this war stuff. He's not. I'm sorry. You could spin it any way you want. They've had 3 or 4 separate occasions they could pull America, the United States, into a war in that region just in the last year. And Trump has not went for it. Trump has backed off. So all you anti-wars out there, whether you're liberals, Democrats, Republicans, or whatever, you really have to look at this at face value for what it is. Trump has not gotten into us in another Iraq, another Libya, another Syria. He's pulling the troops out of Syria. So take that how you want.
I mean, he's a stand-up guy, if you ask me, a businessman turned president, and he's trying to root the corruption of, i.e., Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. Let me show you the graphic on that. We can stay globally on that, if I can find it. Again, here it is. Biden's son, Pelosi's son, Romney's son, Kerry's son. You remember him? Kerry's son, all on the board of directors of the Ukraine gas companies at $50,000 a month a pop, I guess. To see Hunter Biden on ABC the other night, it was a complete joke. I mean, it sounded like Bill Clinton. I didn't have relations with that woman, and all that crap that went on years ago, and it still goes on. It's there. They did it. They're trying to put it elsewhere. They're blaming Trump for whistleblowing or calling it on them. And in turn, all this impeachment inquiry, stuff like that, it just has nothing to do with what, Trump's trying to say. Investigate this guy. And then he put it out there. But we went over that before. But then again, like I said, that is globally. Yeah. Another global.
Wait.
Go ahead.
I don't
add into it.
I don't want to toot our own horn, but back, I think it was in March, we were, listen, whether you watch the show, whether you pay attention to the show or not, if you watched our episode back in March, we blew the lid off this thing already. Yeah. We blew the lid off this whole Joe Biden speaking in the Ukraine. We had audio, we had video or whatever. Right. Remember, we started calling him Ukrainian Joe.
Yeah.
Before any of this ever dropped mainstream.
Yeah.
So... Listen, if anything, I want our listeners, our audience, anybody that watches to know, dude, we're not just coming with this out of our ass.
Right,
okay?
Man.
These are articles that you yourself can find if you know where to find them. Right. And you yourself could be ahead of the news. But if you don't, just watch our show. We post links. Yep. We post the real stuff. Like I said, when we dropped it, when we played the audio, don't take it from me. This was in his own words. This was in his own words, and now he's running for president, and it's all came back to bite him and the Democrats in the ass. But you know what's crazy? He's still the front runner.
Yeah.
He's still the front runner.
Well, I don't know how.
Even after all this.
Well, they said Pocahontas was moving ahead of him.
Yes, but even after all this and all these debates where he looks like a bumbling, fumbling idiot on stage.
And Pocahontas, it says anything to get votes here and there. And then this idiot Beto, they're still giving him time. I think the debate is on tonight or tomorrow night or whenever. Who cares? But, I mean, the bottom line is that they're giving. But Beto was saying that he wanted to withdraw the tax exemption status on religious groups and churches who don't who don't go along with same-sex marriage. And, what else? What else are these socialists trying to shove down our throats? That's totally ridiculous, and it's just leading more credence. And you are the listening audience. You are out there. You listen to us. If you don't, I talked to a few people. They didn't catch the show, this, that, and the other. If I talk about the show, they're in the dark about it. But they're just going to sit there and let everything fly by on them on regular media, ABC, CBS, NBC, and then get out there and, then they're going to say, well, what's wrong? Well, why are my grandchildren suffering? This, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? So... I mean, it is just that's what Little Joe was saying, and that's where he gets it from.
Exactly.
There's sources you can get it from. There's read between the lines. Don't believe what you hear and read. But
you have to understand. I can't pull any punches anymore. I can't sugarcoat anything, which I haven't been if you've been a loyal listener and follower. The media is controlled by the evil people. I'm just
That's
the
right.
bad guys, the evildoers, the people that are trying to destroy the nation, okay?
Right.
They are controlled by these guys. The more you listen to what they're actually saying, the more you like, oh, look, yeah, well, that's what's not going on. That's what you don't believe. But if you are still kind of giving them a little credit, well, you know, I heard on MSNBC or I heard on ABC that you said, no, dude, you're already losing. You are already losing. You have to turn those fools off. You have to get, you got to dig a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And listen, I know it's hard. I know there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there.
Right.
But I and Joe and this show are going to try to simplify everything for you and give you links to
look
where
at the links.
This is a difference of opinion on what's going on. Take it or leave it. But just remember, everything that we've talked about on this show, pretty much 90% of what we talked about on this show ever since we started it, has now came true.
Right.
And we're in the thick of this thing, and this is the silly season, whether it's the local political silly season or it's the national or international silly season. Keep going, Joe. Come on.
Yeah,
There's
well,
so,
anyway.
There's
Yeah,
so
we're
much to...
rat-a-tat-tat.
Yeah, let's go.
We
Change
could go
subject.
on for that. But
Change
anyway,
subject.
one more thing I wanted to add. They just read the other day, CNN is the biggest pusher of propaganda, news, fake news, whatever. Okay, back to globally, back to nationally. The power outages in Northern California, that's close to us. We have our son living over there, my son, his brother, living over there in the area where they're cutting out the outages for the Pacific Gas and Electric Company, PGE. They've been bankrupt. They've been insolvent. They've been running out of money for years, and then they use this excuse to cut the power out to communities all over San Jose, Sacramento area, Northern California, parts of San Francisco, to turn the lights out, to turn all the power off. No red lights, no green lights. I guess total mass confusion because they don't want the forest fires to catch all the electrical outages. To cause electrical outages, this and that. It doesn't make sense to me that the state could do that, but California is on the verge of, to me, tumbling into the sea.
Here we go.
But let little Joe get on his take on that.
All right. The fires didn't start till after they shut off the power. The fires didn't start till after
they were always there.
No, they weren't there. The fires didn't start till after they shut off the power.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they had been telling them they were going to do this.
Right.
So they shut off the power, and all of a sudden these fires start. Yeah. Something's going on. Something bigger is going on. I got an inkling of what it is, but I can't break it just yet because it hasn't really been confirmed. Okay. Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Well,
all I know, that whole power outage and all those fires was nothing but a bunch of BS. Something is going on over there. I don't really know what it is just yet. I can't quite put.
Right.
I can't quite put my finger on it. I can't quite sit here and tell you what I think it really is until I have something backing me up.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
So as of right now, just know that whole power outage and all those fires that came after the power outage, something screwy is going on.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right. Locally, Baton Rouge-wise, state-wise, the governor's race. Governor Bell Edwards is going to be in a runoff with Eddie Rispone. I guess everybody knows that. But he thought he was going to be a landslide winner. And, I think when Trump came down here and helped Abraham and Rispone there in Lake Charles, they had a big gathering, and it kind of helped them out. What else can the president do besides? And we're a Democratic-controlled governor down here who will do nothing except line his pockets, lie about everything. And the Republicans, I guess, will do the same thing. Louisiana is as corrupt as it is, but we need to do something about this, and I'm just going to say it out there, all this litigation that goes on around here. We can't get anything done statewide, citywise, because of all this Louisiana lawsuit legacy that we have down here. But wish good luck to the Republican candidate, Rispone, the phony. I guess I wonder in the campaign commissioner for the other candidates came up with that Risponi as a phony. Boy, they must have paid him a lot for that. I mean, you can get that out of New York with the admin out of New York, huh?
It was probably the intern that came up with that, and then the guy took it as his own and like ran with it.
Right. Okay. And then we brushed on something else. St. George is a city now.
Yes.
It's going to take a while. I mean, they still got to fight the city parish, and they still got to apply for their laws, and who's going to be the policeman, and who's going to pick up the garbage, and all the schools, and this and that. It's not really going to be settled down city of St. George. I'd give it another 2-3 years. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd give it another 2 or 3 years, but they will get it. And kudos,
they got it.
Kudos to the city. No, they got it. But kudos to the city of St. George. Those people fought hard. They're breaking away from Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is now going to be basically split in two. And you know what? Good.
Right.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you disenfranchise all the tax-paying base. That's right. Yeah, now the shoe's on the other foot, and you don't like it.
Right.
It was okay when they were taking their money and giving it to the other side of the city.
Right
and
on.
like, oh, yeah, well, it's okay because it's going to the greater good of the city.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, now you're not going to have that money. I saw a graph today, just in the first year alone.
It was going to
Baton
Silky
Rouge,
Slim or Slippy Slim or whatever his name is.
Well, no, that was federal funds. But Baton Rouge itself stands to lose $43 million in the first year. And that's just what they're coming up with now.
Yeah.
No telling what they're going to tack on and add on. Now that's something that the city of St. George and all their tax base is going to have to start paying now. But you know what? They could do that.
They can.
They could do that.
Yeah.
So
I wish them a lot of luck.
I wish them a lot of luck, and they will get it. They will get it together. They'll have their own mayor. They'll have their own city council. They'll eventually have their own school district and their own police force and their own fire and everything. And then Baton Rouge is going to be sitting there scrambling, trying to fill the gaps in their bloated city budget that never should have been in the first place.
Right on. And, I mean, there's a lot more news out there locally, globally, nationally. Little Joe, you got any more, chime on in. But we were out for a couple of weeks, like we said earlier, and we're going to move on to the big news of the, week or two that we've been out is LSU football.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? I in a sense, I can believe it. Joe Burrow at the start of the season said we were capable of scoring 50, 60 points a game, and that's a pretty steep walk to get out there and say that, but they are doing it, and they're doing it against quality opponents. They are ranked number 2 now in the AP. Believe in the coaches poll, they're number 3 or possibly number 4, but that top 5 up there, that's rarefied air, was top 6. Now that Georgia, the Kirby So Smart Bulldogs blew it, they were getting beat by South Carolina the whole game. But anyway, I mean, LSU football is back. Now they're trusting in the defense. And then I heard the other day on the radio, hey, it's a custom we're like in the Big 12, and we kind of like it because we're scoring more points than they are, and who needs the defense when you got the offense? And it makes a lot of sense. But no, a lot of people want to criticize the Big 12 and everybody else scoring, going over under 75, 80 points. They want defense down here. You're never satisfied. You want defense, and I think the big game will be November 9, LSU number 2, Alabama number 1, or some people say LSU should be number 1 and Alabama number 2. Every week you have to put your best game face on, and get out there and plunge and beat those guys and this and that, and then don't even worry about anybody else. But
hey, Joe, how's my game face? Check this out.
I don't know. That don't look like your game face when we used to play Our Lady of Victory, But anyway.
Yeah, how's that game face, everybody? No, look, okay, so.
Go ahead.
Listen. I told you, here it is again. That's 3 in a row. That's 3 in a row. We've been vindicated. The Biden situation, the city of St. George, and now the Joe Burrow thing. I told you when we started watching the football game, I told you LSU was going to do big things this year because of Joe Burrow. And now it didn't take a genius to figure that out. But hey, I'm just telling you, okay? And everybody at work, boy, you was right about Joe Burrow. Yeah, that's right. I was right about Joe Burrow because I could see certain things.
A class guy, a great athlete, excellent, accurate passer. I think his passing rating is 80%.
You see
his completion rating, and come to find out on the graphic before the game, Florida game, He likes SpongeBob, Looney Tunes. What a guy, man!
Yeah,
you know,
did you
how
see
can you
his
go wrong?
Did you see his post game little interview little interview out there on the field with the ESPN girl?
No, I didn't.
Nah, man, class, dude.
Yeah.
Class, straight up class.
Yeah.
It's like he's not. It's been a long time since I've seen. First of all, an LSU quarterback get any really any credibility, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's usually the defense or some running back or something like that, you know.
Correct.
But I mean, he was out there and he really makes you feel good. Like if you're a Tiger fan, be like, yeah, that's my quarterback.
And
that's my teammate. You know?
And it doesn't take much. It just takes a little class. And I mean, I'm not knocking the Tigers, don't get me wrong, but November the 9th is going to be the telltale, and it's
That's
up there
it.
in Tuscaloosa, Tuscaloosa, Tagovailoa, whatever his name is.
And if you don't beat Bama, that's it. Your season's over. You're not going to the SEC championship.
No.
You're not going to the playoffs. I'm sorry. Because if Alabama wins the LSU game, then they're not going to lose again. Because LSU is clearly the best team, one of the best teams in the SEC.
Before I got over here, waiting for you to get home, I was watching college football live, and I was just listening to David Pollack foam all over Georgia, and they could still get in. They could run the table. They could win the SEC championship and get in. They are overrated as being that Fromm had his worst game to me, but bottom line is that they got beat by South Carolina at home, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Unranked.
Yeah. And Rodrigo,
yeah.
with his glasses, the guy who kicked the field goal, many a game for those guys, missed the chip shot, so to speak, even though it was a little long, but I thought it was money in the bank. And they could not stand up to Muschamp's defense or whatever offense they had. But, hey, look, there's a lot of football still left to go.
Yeah,
but
dude.
the buzz...
Yeah, the season is not over by any means.
It's halfway done, and the big games are coming up. We'll preview some of the big games in a little bit. But the other buzz, and I'm sorry, I'm going to keep rattling on. Stop me, little Joe. But the other buzz is OU's defense. I mean, even though it was against Texas, and Texas scored 38 points against LSU, and I'm not knocking them. It's 45-38.
They held Texas to their season low after 5 games, which is 27.
Right.
Texas was averaging 35 points a game. Oklahoma held them to 27. Now, look, I have not seen an Oklahoma defense do something like that since the 2013 season.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
6 years.
They looked totally different. They looked totally different under Grinch defensively. And once the offense got rolling, that's it. Now, CeeDee Lamb had a career day. Jalen Hurts made up for his mistakes he had earlier on. So did Lincoln Riley. I thought some of the play calling right there in the first quarter, even though we were dominating everything really but the score, was kind of. But then again, I'm not the coach, and I'm not going to sit here and knock Lincoln Riley any way, shape, or form.
Right.
I'm just saying we should have had more points. It shouldn't have been that close.
Man, CeeDee Lamb, you mentioned that name. What a class athlete himself, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, I know he had a fumble. He was carrying the ball like a loaf of bread, and then he threw an interception off his back foot, which he shouldn't have thrown. He atoned for his mistakes. He still counted for 4 touchdowns. Ellinger, for Texas, the Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, did not throw a touchdown pass. He was sacked 9 times, and we just got to realize that Alex Grinch defense, he didn't take a bunch of no-name people. There's quality people there, and there's quality people out for the season on the defensive end, but they put the pressure on when they needed to, and we're going to look forward to it. It's great to see it. You people know that Oklahoma in the past 3 CFPs have been in it, the top 4 or whatever. They come up short. You want to call them Choklahoma. It goes without saying. I can understand that. But, I mean, bottom line, they've always had the offense to contend with the Alabamas and the Georgia. Georgia double overtime a couple of years ago in the Rose Bowl. What was it, 115 points scored or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
it was a lot.
CeeDee Lamb, if you watched him against Texas, he made 2 great catches and 3-4 great runs. There was 5 Longhorns tried to tackle him, 5 Longhorns around him like Indians surrounding the wagons, and this kid juked, faked, moved, and scored a touchdown out of that. You need to see that replay if you can stand it. I know my wife doesn't like to see it, but, I mean, bottom line is that's, to me, is the buzz in the college football world.
If you're a Longhorn fan and you didn't like their replay, well, you better quit watching ESPN because they're going to show that all year long, all the way up until the end of the season. They're going to be showing it during the NFL draft. They're going to be showing it all, because when he juked when he basically, I don't think, did any of those receivers, those five
Defenders.
DBs touch him?
I think
did they
one
even
guy
touch
touched him at the end when he was at the 2-yard line, just kind of slapped him on the back. But it was a great move, and he had a chance to go to Texas, and they didn't offer him, so figure it out. But he's out. He's out.
I didn't know that.
He's not coming back.
He'll be
top round draft choice.
Right.
But
so look, let's look at something real quick.
Go ahead.
Oklahoma next week got West Virginia.
They're favored by,
and then they're
23.
at Kansas State October 26th. Then they have a bye week.
Okay.
Then they have Iowa State at home. Now this is going to be a key game. I'm off that week. I scheduled off. Iowa State is coming off a bye now, but we have them at home. Now, another team I want to talk about that nobody's talking about, absolutely nobody is talking about. November 16th at Baylor. Oklahoma at Baylor. Now, Baylor, to me, they're no better than an Oklahoma State or a Texas Tech, don't get me wrong, but they're winning the games. They're winning these games now. Okay? So they have to play Oklahoma November 16th, and they're at home. Okay, so then Oklahoma has November 23rd at home TCU, and then you got November 30th, the Bedlam game at Oklahoma State. Now, the performance I saw from OU's defense and offense in the last, couple of weeks, and definitely what I saw Saturday, leads me to believe that Oklahoma will run the table.
Oh, yeah, they'll run the table. But listen, LSU plays I have no doubt that LSU will run the table until they get to Alabama. Maybe if they beat Alabama and they get to the SEC championship game, which they should win that too. But, I mean, that would be great. I mean, then they're going to put Alabama, and then there's going to be 2 SEC teams. What do we keep kicking ourselves under the table? Everybody's saying that. Brady Quinn said there should be 3 SEC teams in there.
Brady Quinn's full of absolute malarkey.
Anyway,
Here we go.
What you're saying is that LSU this weekend against Mississippi State, and in Stark Vegas, one guy was telling me, well, somebody, a caller in the show and a listener to the show said that might be a tough game over there. If LSU doesn't beat Mississippi State by 30 on the road with all those cowbells and stuff like that, nothing's going to be wrong. They'll probably beat them by the spread. I think the spread is 24. Go ahead.
All right. October 19th at Mississippi State is LSU's schedule.
Yeah.
So the last time they were in Stark Vegas, I'm willing to bet they never led and were outgained 465 yards to 270 yards in a 37-7 loss. That's right. 2017, 37-7 loss. The Dogs just came in there and whooped them in front of the home crowd. Okay.
Yeah.
Prior to the loss in 2017, LSU had won 11 of 12, including 8 straight in Stark Vegas. Okay,
wow.
So Orgeron is 7-4 in SEC road games at LSU. Go ahead and make it, 9-10 or 10-4 or whatever, because they're not going to lose to Mississippi State. So I look for LSU to win that game. Now, let's look at LSU's schedule. You got October 26th, the 2-year anniversary of the rally in Death Valley. Against Auburn.
Yeah.
I don't see LSU losing that game.
No.
I think Auburn's about the speed of Florida.
Yeah.
Or
worse.
Listen, let's back up a little bit. Florida had a chance, more than enough chance to be in that game towards the very end.
Right.
I don't care what you say. Joe, back me up on this. They shouldn't have pulled that kid Trask and put that other quarterback in on second down right there when they could have tied it up. You remember?
Yeah.
They could have tied it up.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have put that kid, or was it a go-ahead score? I think it was a go-ahead score.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have put that kid Trask in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, the other quarterback, and then flip-flopped him because he gets right back in there and throws an interception in the end zone. Now, remember, Trask wasn't even a starter in high school. You got a kid that ain't even just straight off. This is his first year basically in the league.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a starter in high school, and Florida went up and down the field on LSU.
Yeah.
If you're an LSU, a fan or whatever, if you're really looking at numbers, that's got to concern you.
It does.
That has got to concern you.
But it does to an extent. But then it was close right there. And then what's Joe Burrow do? He comes out there the next series, and they throw a streak down the sidelines, a 50, 60-yarder. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Not knocking Joe Burrow.
Yeah, the Tigers itself, not the offense seemingly is switching around to be LSU's best defense.
All right, here we go. You got the Carlotta Street. No, I don't even think they have that anymore. I think they banned it.
Oh, wow.
I think they banned it, I know. So you have the November 2nd bye week, and then here we are. Now, this is important. Alabama is going to be coming off a bye week when you meet Alabama. They have 2 whole weeks to prepare for LSU, and they're at home. Last time, LSU trailed 14-3 at halftime, despite having a 176 to 166 yard edge.
Yeah.
The 306 yards LSU posted last year was their most versus the Tide since 2012. But they lost
29 to nothing.
Hold up. If I'm not mistaken,
They lost 29
to nothing.
A big goose
So
egg.
I don't give a damn what your yardage is, how good your quarterback looked. Oh, he threw for 376 yards.
Well,
and the score was 29 to nothing. And that was in Tiger Stadium last year, and that was Joe Burrow.
Right.
Now, things have changed.
Very.
Alabama's defense don't look as good, but neither does your defense.
Right.
I am still, as of right now, Joe, going to go with LSU because I think their defense is good enough to get it done, and I definitely think their offense is good enough to get it done. Now, if LSU does not get it done, and we'll break the game down before then, I'm just saying, I'm sticking with my pick that LSU will beat Alabama. It's a destiny. Will beat Alabama on their way to the SEC championship and the playoffs.
You heard it first or second, but listen, last time they were ranked 1 and 2, LSU, Alabama in 2011, LSU beat them. You remember that 9-6 field goal? That was the last time they beat them 8 years ago. So it's time to turn it around. But as I told you before when we started talking football, all this mystique of Saban and the calls and playing over there, and they get the calls and they didn't call that and this and that and our boys and this and that and all this stuff. LSU held their own against a good top Russian defense this past weekend in Tiger Stadium, which is a plus factor. I think the crowd was raucous, outrageous, and that's why they call it Death Valley, and kudos to that. But I think that LSU is just clicking on offense. I mean, you can hit those quick passes. Everybody's open. I think he was 20 for 24 or whatever. I saw that thing, and then 2 of 2 for Alabama. Alabama throws that slant, that 5 to 6 yard slant, and those guys get 20 to 30 yards off the yak. And to me, that's a factor. If they try to come out there and do that again, that's going to cause LSU problems. And, they're going to be up. But I don't want any excuses that we ran out of time, that, and the other, and Saban was this, and one of our players is suspended, or we didn't have our linemen, all this stuff. It's for all the marbles, man. We need to move on.
Listen. Let me say something, and then we're going to move on because we got to roll. With the team LSU has this year, and the team Alabama has, if you don't beat Alabama this year, you're never going to beat Alabama until Saban leaves. Yeah. What if he stays there another 10 years? You're not going to beat them, dude. If LSU does not beat Alabama this year, they're never going to beat Alabama until Saban leaves.
Yeah, history proves that Charlie Mack couldn't beat Bear Bryant. So
right.
Who else?
Let's switch gears a little bit. Now let's start talking about the teams because we're right at midseason.
Ohio State.
Let's start talking about the teams that could probably be in the playoffs.
Wisconsin.
Okay, Wisconsin and Ohio State have to play each other. It's October 26th. Circle it on your calendar. October 26th is going to be a absolutely huge weekend for college football.
Where do they play that game?
At Ohio State.
Oh.
Yes. Wisconsin. So these teams are going to cancel each other out right there.
Yeah.
And then they could technically cancel each other out
again in the
championship game
right.
if those teams make it. Now, I've seen Wisconsin play. I've seen Ohio State play. I've seen Michigan,
right.
Michigan State, Penn State. The only team I think could give Ohio State a run for their money is Penn State.
And they probably won't.
But I think Penn State's got them. You might, Penn State. You might.
I mean, Penn State is good. They really look good, but I think James Franklin, to me, in the end, when he gets down to the big games, he's like Big Game Bob.
Yeah, November 23rd at Ohio State is Penn State and Ohio State. Now, I mean, we got plenty of time to break down the game then, but I'm just thinking Ohio State probably won't lose that game, and Wisconsin, they'll cancel each other out, but that doesn't mean you could wind up with a Ohio State 1 loss and a Wisconsin 1 loss, and they'll win their conference.
Hey,
they'll win their conference. Okay, so hold up, Joe. So then you have Clemson. They're probably going to win their conference. Then you'll have the SEC champion.
Easiest road.
Then you'll have your SEC champion, and then you'll have your Big 12 champion, which at this point, if I had to put money on it, it'll probably be Oklahoma. There's your playoff.
Yep.
Not going to be 2 SEC teams. Unless you have multiple losses in the other conferences. Unless you have multiple, or unless it's LSU that beats Bama, then they'll pull every string in the book to get Bama back in there. Yeah. Because they just love Alabama. And, Nick Saban, he's the greatest coach ever. And oh my God, I walked in the bathroom the other day and he was taking a poo and it didn't even stink.
Yeah.
I said, wow, it smells like roses in here.
Well, again, like we alluded earlier, you're touching on the big games, which we don't need odds this week. We know where we're at. The big game is the LSU Mississippi State, naturally locally here, but everybody else has forerunners. And then, like say, you'll have Georgia, Florida coming up. You'll have who else? You'll have Wisconsin, like you say, Wisconsin, Penn State. You'll have Ohio State. Then you won't get anything out of the Pac-12. Pac-12 is done.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't even find anything that resembles good football out that way, other than Oregon. But I mean, they're not going anywhere. The Pac-12 is gone, and like you say, Clemson has the easiest path. Come on, let's face it. They have the easiest path to the playoff system, and they're the perennial winners. They won it last year, and they're not going to be knocked down. You can shuffle them to number 3, or 4, whatever, but they're still going to be in it. They're going to go undefeated.
I want to touch on something real quick. Florida, no time to lick your wounds. You got to go to South Carolina this weekend. That's 2 straight, absolutely huge road games. You're beat up. LSU just didn't beat you. They beat you up. You're down 2 defensive ends, okay? And now you're at South Carolina, okay? South Carolina is coming off a tremendous program-turning victory over number 3 Georgia.
Finally.
Between the hedges.
Finally.
So if South Carolina wins this game against Florida, a beat up, demoralized Florida, then I will officially take back. Okay, well, let's wait to the SEC championship.
Right.
But if South Carolina even makes it to the SEC championship,
right,
I will officially take back everything bad I ever said about Will Muschamp.
Yeah, Florida wins. But Will can't stand prosperity. The Gamecocks can't do it. Florida's going to win. It's going to be a rough and tumble thing. They'll come out there and they'll know that they have to win. But listen, talking about would be surprising, it would have been something if A&M could have beat Alabama this past weekend, which would have never happened. Then there's a little impatience. There's a little bit disgruntledness with Jimbo Fisher down there in College Station over there, and things, and rightfully so. I mean, that's a lot of enchilada money they're paying him.
Yeah.
And he needs to get some glasses, throw that clipboard down, and get people's faces, and let's play. It doesn't look like Aggie football to me. They're sputtering on offense and defense. They're just playing catch up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sorry for our Aggie listeners and fans, but they already know it. They don't chime in, and they do chime in. It's another season. Another person taking some heat to me is Texas's defense. I mean, Texas didn't have a defense against LSU. Joe Burrow could have scored 60, 70 points, but, I mean, they didn't have a defense, and I've never liked the defensive coordinator, Bo Orlando. I think his name is Troy Orlando, whatever. I never have liked him. I think it's
Tony,
time.
no? I think Tony Orlando.
Well, yeah, that was Tony. Tie a yellow ribbon around that old defense. Yeah, you got that right.
In all truthfulness, though, now I don't want to knock Texas defense because, I mean, they played a lot better than I thought they were going to play.
Well,
but let's get back to Texas A&M real quick. Lily, what is going on in College Station, dude? I thought y'all were supposed to have the team to be, to really contend, So you're at Ole Miss October 19th. Okay?
Got to win that one.
Yeah, dude, if you can't beat Ole Miss,
yeah,
you can go ahead and send Jimbo packing, all right?
Right.
Then you got Mississippi State at home.
Right.
Then you got UTSA, which is coming off a bye.
Ooh,
now,
wow.
look, these are 3 easy games you must win now. Then you got November 9th as your bye week. Then you got South Carolina at home. Okay, so that's 3, maybe 1 loss. Then you go to Georgia, and then you go to LSU.
Ooh.
So you're looking at potentially a 3-3 on top of a 3-3.
Yeah.
So that makes you 6-6. You'll be lucky.
Lucky
to get to a bowl game.
Wow,
come on now. And they pay Jimbo. I don't know how much they pay Jimbo, but they need to go ahead and seriously consider getting their money back for that.
$75 million for 10. Hey, I'm gonna give him another year. I'm going to give him 2 more years.
I'm not. You might as well have Cody out there coaching the damn defense.
Cody's a good coach. Cody told little guy in Texas that we were going to play flag football no matter if it rains, and the little guy from Texas comes back and says, Coach Cody said we're going to play if it's raining or not. And I kind of like that, Coach. I have to throw that in there to you. But anyway, we've already been an hour, I believe. Pretty doggone close. 41. Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's great. But we touched on things that are real important, globally, nationally, locally, and we think they are. And like Little Joe was alluding to, and we always do, listen if you don't. Some people listen. Some people catch the show. Some people don't, when I talk to them. I try to send everybody the show through Facebook, through text messages, through Messenger, stuff like that. I get a lot of retorts. I get a lot of replies. I know people are busy. They're just like any other news outlet. But the things that we touch on are the things that are important to us, again, just to protect. Don't vote Democratic, don't vote Republican, vote American, vote with common sense if you do. I mean, St. George is going to become a city. I was in that area today. It doesn't look any different than Baton Rouge, but I guess eventually it will. I mean, the tax base, everything. But
Joe, I want to get to something real quick.
Yeah.
Let's do a little something. Okay, it's what we're talking, what the people are talking about, versus what you should be talking about.
10-4. You got that right.
All right. So, everybody's talking about climate change. Still can't get off the Greta bandwagon or whatever her name is,
Thornburg.
How dare you? Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. If you're still falling for that BS, you need to look.
Right on, man.
Tell me where you're at. I'll drive personally to your house if you're in about an 8-hour radius and personally slap you upside the head.
The rain's coming down.
All right.
Climate change.
Project Cloverleaf. In the 1950s, the CIA sprayed chemicals on unknowing citizens of St. Louis, Missouri as a testing ground. Project Cloverleaf later became the U.S. Navy's VTRPE program, which consisted of spraying chemicals through aerosol-loaded planes in order to create 3D images of battlefields. The spraying caused veils over the sky known as Tesla domes. DARPA, which is the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, got involved, and the project quickly spiraled out of control. There are various chemicals in the chemtrails, which we call solar radiation management, upward aerosol stratospheric injections, all that good stuff. Mostly barium and aluminum, strontium, nanoparticles. Several chemicals in the chemtrails are biological in nature and affect human health, particularly affecting the body's immune system. Tesla domes, as they're called, are necessary for what they call scalar weaponry to work. Scalar weaponry, SCALAR weaponry. Scalar weaponry is extremely complicated, using energetics to control the weather, bioenergetics to manipulate human health, energy, and consciousness, and psychoenergetics for human behavior modification. And this is technology they had in the 50s.
Wow. We should have known that. That's what we should be thinking about. Besides, I mean, okay, they sprayed this aerosol, all this stuff in St. Louis, you said?
Yeah,
They must have sprayed it in St. Louis, East St. Louis.
That's just what we know.
Right. I mean, look what they did to the airmen at Tuskegee, the Tuskegee experiment.
Thank you.
I mean, look at who invented LSD? The U.S. Army. I mean, Timothy Leary didn't do it. Peace out, man. Drop, acid, whatever. He didn't invent all that stuff.
Yeah, tune in, drop out.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, but you're going to use children to do that again. Like I said, let's get these children that are being trafficked, sex trafficked, and physically abused and stuff like that, and get them up there in front of the United Nations and say this must stop.
If you when you talking to your phone and you send a text message and you press that thing and you start talking into it and it's recording. I mean, it's like jotting down your words as you talking to it. You know that thing's really always on?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That thing is always on. So it's always, anytime a conversation's going on, like it's recording you. Okay. Like it's recording us. Even though I don't have it on right here, it's recording us right here, right now. Okay. And what that does, it scans into a big supercomputer. And it takes every fifth sentence or whatever and scans it into a supercomputer, and it scans it and it scans it for keywords, buzzwords, and it puts into another supercomputer, and it scans it for keywords, buzzwords, and then after that I think it goes to actual people listening to what you were talking about.
Well, if they're listening to what you're talking about, they got a lot a lot to do. Excuse me. Yeah, put the camera on.
Yeah, I know.
Too.
Hey, look, go ahead. Shout it out,
anyway,
Joe.
Shout outs to the family, the grandchildren, the family across the demographic, California to Florida, Japan, Okinawa, Heath, Mendoza.
What's up, Kane? I'm gonna get with you here pretty soon.
Kane Taylor, working man, college guy, the little guy in Texas playing football on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, baseball. What can you say? Honor roll again, progress report out. He told his grandmother, no problems, Grandma, I got it. So we'd like to shout out to a good friend of mine, Jimmy P., who's a staunch listener, and I know he's always texting me good information. Shout out to Burks Construction, Nicholas Burks, a craftsman, a young man, expertise in what he does, and another shout out to Too Saucy. I'm sure they opened up the pasta house over there, corner of Jefferson and Highland. Check it out. Any shout outs for you, little guy?
Yeah, I just want to say hello to anybody that watches us. Hello, Kane. Hello, anybody that, like I say, subscribes or watches us. Sorry we took a little hiatus, but hey, man, life gets in the way. I don't get paid to do this. I get paid to go to my real job. Okay,
Gabe,
so that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Gabe P., did you bet the house with the points, Texas? Let us know, please. I know you're a rich man if you did.
Yeah.
Little guys.
Yeah, and I want to say something. If you've been betting against me all year, the last couple of weeks, boy, you should be rich. It's enough to pay for Christmas. I will say that much.
I know we bombed it out, but anyway, little people out there, little ones, drink all your milk, say your prayers, please. We need the help. Thank you very much.
See y'all later.
Good night.
Yeah, see y'all later.